Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 2012 Infiniti FX50s. Up front is a 5.0 liter V8 and down below is a 7-speed automatic transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this here FX50 for a bunch of reasons, but mainly the fact that I really like the FX chassis, and this is the super rare V8 version. They only made just under 3,000 of these, and once you start getting into the options and model years, that number goes down significantly. In 2012, they made about 300 to 350 FX50s for that year. So this is one of 350 before you even start getting into packages and colors, and that is super exciting. But before we get on to anything else, I have a website, zackparrell.com, where you can buy stickers like this retro sticker pack or big friggin' bottle sticker, both with free shipping. You could also submit your own vehicle to be reviewed by me through a quick and easy submission form, and you could read my behind the scenes blog to see what I'm filming before it comes out on the channel. But let's get back to that 5-liter V8. The reason, ladies and gentlemen, that we are here today. Well, it makes 390 horsepower, which is 55 horsepower more than the 3.7 liter V6 of the FX37. This car also goes 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds, which is a full second faster than its V6 counterpart. So this is the fastest FX that they made, the rarest FX that they made, and that is pretty freaking cool. The other interesting thing about this V8, this 5-liter V8, is that they didn't put it in any other cars. Very unlike Nissan. Nissan typically builds an engine and then shoves it into every chassis that will accept it. Well, that wasn't the case here with the FX50. They built this engine for this car, used the engine in this car for a couple of years, and then wrote it off, said adios. That's it. It sounds good too. I'll give it that. Like I said, paired to its 7-speed automatic transmission, it's shifting nice and quiet. It's the same one you'll find in the FX37, so no news here. Last but not least, the FX50 is all-wheel drive. How does the FX50 drive actually as a handling vehicle? Well, it has the same handling characteristics as the FX37. That hasn't really changed. Of course, it does have a little bit more power, and you do notice the torque around town. However, the ride itself is actually a lot stiffer than the standard FX37. The reason for that is that this actually comes on 21-inch wheels, a lot bigger wheels for the FX50, and thus the ride is a little bit harder because you don't have as much tire sidewall to ride on. This is like riding on rubber bands instead of pillows. Something to keep in mind if you're considering a luxury vehicle from Infiniti. So with that out of the way, let's talk about the interior, because the FX50 was actually almost fully loaded. When they gave you the V8, they also gave you a ton of extra features. So let's go through it now. Well, in front of me, I have 4 gauges. On the left is the coolant temperature and tachometer. On the right is the speedometer and fuel, and then I get a little customizable gauge in the center. I could show it my current MPG and some other basic early 2010s features. One color screen, nothing crazy, but nice nevertheless. On the steering wheel on the left, I have my source, enter, back, volume, and phone option buttons. And then on the right, I actually have my cruise control options, which have not only lane keep assist, but radar cruise control. That will bring you all the way down to 2 miles an hour for slow moving traffic, which is fantastic. Something the FX37 I reviewed did not have, which was that radar cruise. Great feature. I also get paddle shifters at the back of the steering wheel. Kind of an interesting touch. And off to the left, I have a bunch of buttons, not only for my power mirrors, my power folding mirrors, but my IBA off, tailgate, power tailgate on and off, lane keep assist warning, traction control, and a little slot for my key, should I choose to put it in there. Moving on to the door, we have 2 different memory seat options, as well as power locks, window locks, and power windows, which the front 2 are automatic. Moving into the center, we do have a Bose sound system and, of course, this infotainment system. I'm not going to harp on it for too long. It's a pretty late 2000s infotainment system with map and whatnot. I covered this more extensively in my FX37 video if you'd like to check that one out, but I do have tons of physical buttons, which a lot of people do tend to prefer prefer is physical buttons for the infotainment screen. It is a touch screen. It's a very lazy, older touch screen, but the buttons are definitely very nice to have and what I prefer. I will show you the backup camera for the FX50. Here it is, as well as it does get a 360 camera, which not only for 2012 is a great feature, but a great feature to have in any car. That is one of the big advantages of the either tech package on the FX37 or just buying an FX50. Then I do have an analog clock surrounded by my radio options. Pretty standard besides the analog clock. I love seeing that in cars. That's really a separation mark between regular cars and more luxury cars is an analog clock. It just carries weight with me and I really like it. I do have a CD player and we have our climate control options. I do get dual zone climate, which is fantastic, and your traditional where to send it and fan speed buttons. Then I get a little ashtray cigarette lighter that pops out, and we have the shifter itself. The shifter does suffer from a little bit of quality issues. This is typical Nissan, typical Infiniti for this era. The chrome tends to flake off. What can you do? And then we do have some interesting buttons. So we do have heated and ventilated seats for both the driver and the passenger. Fantastic options and part of that FX50s package. As well as we do have a snow mode we can toggle on and off. And we do have suspension mode, so we can either leave it in auto or switch it to sport, which are fantastic. Absolutely love that. Then we do have cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test. And although it isn't happy about it, it will fit the big friggin' bottle. And there's this little arm that comes out. A lot of Nissan products do this. This little arm comes out. If you fold that down, the big friggin' bottle will fit. So I am excited to give the FX50 a pass on the big friggin' bottle test. Then we do get a center console, which is dual opening. And then we gotta talk about the seats. The seats are leather, they are memory, heated, ventilated, anything you want out of a modern seat. The FX50 will do, which is great. And I am pleasantly enjoying the ride. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats. So let's go do a backseat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2012 Infiniti FX50. It's actually pretty spacious back here. It's not bad. I've ridden back here in long car trips in my friend's FX37, and I can vouch for the fact that it's decently comfortable and honestly pretty livable. Not that bad at all. I do have a 12-volt outlet back here and my own climate control vents. Very, very nice. Headroom, good. Knee room, good. I'm 5'11" and not a small guy, so it checks all of those boxes. The wood accents from the front doors carry on back here. I also do have a center console here with cup holders and a little bit of storage. Let's go hop around the very back. We'll talk about the trunk and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, so we're on the back of the FX50. I do have a button here on the key fob to pop the trunk. It is a power tailgate, which is just fantastic. And once we are back here, pretty decent storage space, something I am really happy about with the FX50 and other FX vehicles. I do get a 12-volt outlet back here, as well as a nice little cargo light, and I can pull these levers to push down those seats up there. Really, really cool. Nothing else to really write home about. We can come under here. We do have a spare tire, which is nice to see. A lot of modern cars don't get that. But other than that, nothing really insanely mind-blowing about the FX50 back here, but nice cargo space for sure. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I really do like the look of the FX vehicles. It is certainly starting to grow on me, which obviously is a good thing. Love that about this. However, the FX50 doesn't really get much different things besides those 21-inch wheels that I mentioned earlier. They are larger than what you would find on the FX37, so something to keep in mind. But now let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think finally driving the FX50, the big old V8? Well, there's two things I feel about it. First of all, it doesn't make that much more power than the FX37. When you really stand on it, yeah, you notice a difference. And driving around town, you do feel that little bit extra torque. Is it worth the huge price increase? Maybe, maybe not. That's dependent on you. And keep in mind, this car averages about 15 miles to the gallon. Not what I would call stellar numbers. However, the FX50s came so loaded. Radar cruise control, ventilated seats, memory seats. I mean, this really is a nice, complete package of a car, and you also get to drive something incredibly special. This is the first time I've really seen and been around an FX50. I've reviewed over 850 cars. You would think I would have seen one by now. That's how rare these really are. And that to me is just so incredibly cool. That's the Infiniti. That's my draw to the FX50s, how rare and unique they are. I don't know why Infiniti made this car. I don't know who was asking for a V8 in this, but I'm glad that they did it. I'm glad that they stepped outside of their comfort zone. They designed and developed an engine just for this car to then throw it in the waste bin only a few years later. It doesn't make sense, but sometimes the things that make the least amount of sense are the most fun, the most unique, the most exhilarating. And that's what I like about this car. Is there a noticeable power increase over the 37? Not really, but dang, is this way cooler. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Clay for letting me take out his 2012 FX50, finally driving the V8 version. Clay has been absolutely awesome to work with, and I cannot thank him enough for giving me this opportunity. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.